Unfiltered. Ricky Bo, Bill Colarulo.
Philadelphia Sports Talk. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
All right, a little after 3 o'clock on Unfiltered. We'll have another trivia question for you this segment for a chance to win a $50 gift card. We're giving away 5 of them to various businesses down near the Italian market because they have their South 9th Street Market Festival this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Definitely going to want to check it out. We've already given away $50 to Toludo's. Coming up this segment, we got a $50 gift card to Paisanos. All right, so we're doing Italian-American athlete trivia. Keep it here. We'll got that coming up this segment. We're also going to talk a little Matvei Michkov because he spoke with the media, and we'll play that for you, some of the relevant things he had to say. A lot of good stuff in there. But we were opening up the show talking about the Sixers and asking if you could only trade one, Joel Embiid or Paul George, who are you trading? Now, Ricky Bo said PG. I made the case for Joel. But then things kind of went on a different track because some people were saying, well, would you trade Maxey? Would you listen to offers on Maxey? Now, I said, no, I'm not listening to offers on Tyrese Maxey. I know you could probably get 5 first-round draft picks like the Knicks gave up for Mikal Bridges, but I think that you have to build around Maxey and VJ, not only for the talent that they are, but because you have to start to change this culture, this losing culture that you've had from all the tanking, and whether you like it or not, the way Joel Embiid leads this team and the way he has led this team early in his career, I think helped breed more of that losing culture. But people are texting and calling in about Maxey. Let's go to the phones before we go to the text board because Eric wants to talk about this Maxey trade where Ricky Bo said he would answer the phone. Ricky Bo's answering the phone if a GM calls. But let's go to Eric. Yeah, there he is. Let's go to Eric from South Philly. Eric, what's going on, man?
Yeah, Bill, Ricky, man. What's up, guys? Hey, Bill, I just think it's crazy for you to have that opinion on Maxey, bro. And to be honest with you, Maxey hasn't really done anything significantly for you to not want to pick up the phone, bro. And this playoffs right here proves to me that he can never be the number one guy that we need him to be. I would pick up the phone with him. I would eat up the contract with Embiid, keep him. I mean, Embiid, that's like, this is his team, like, until it's not his team anymore. Try to get something for Maxey. Maxey is not the guy who we thought he was, bro. I heard somebody mention something about him being overplayed. Are you serious? At 20, what is he, 24, 25, overplayed?
25. He played.
How do you get overplayed in the playoffs? And you're like, come on, like, you're pissy young. Like, what are you talking about? This is your time to prove that this can potentially be your team.
Let me ask you a question, though. Let me ask you a question, though. If you did that, right? Like, I disagree with you. Maxey, one, I do think he played a lot of minutes. We don't know how bad the finger injury was. I'm not making excuses for him, but that's a reality. We don't know how bad the finger injury was. I do agree with you that I don't think he can be enough to carry the team. You need to provide some other talent around him. But let's say you go with your plan. You trade Maxey, you get a bunch of draft capital back, and you still run things back with Joel Embiid. Do you think you're winning anything in the next 3 years?
I mean, what keeps the Sixers hindered from getting past that second round, what I believe is they don't invest into the bench or like the players coming off the bench. They had a good starting 5 this year. They didn't have nobody to turn to, to relieve the guys that were starting. So I mean, you trade Maxey, you can build it. I mean, you got a stud in VJ. You can build around VJ. You can build around VJ and still keep it Embiid's team. That's what I would do. Maxey just proved to me that he's not the guy that I need him to be. He's not.
The only problem with what Eric's saying, Ricky, and I know you would answer the phone on Maxey, is he's saying it's still Embiid's team. I can't rely on a guy who has played 39 games in the last 2 seasons. Joel Embiid played, 39 this year? Let me just look at these numbers here. We're going to say this is Joel Embiid's team still. So he had 38 games this year, 19 last year, 39 the year before. So he hasn't played more than 39 games in the last 3 seasons. This postseason, he played 7 of 11, and your record was 3-4 with him on the court. So, I get it. You're a better team with Joel when he's healthy, but how many times are we going to run this same story over and over again?
You really can't say that it's Joel Embiid's team anymore. Can you? Didn't we get to that point, early season this year, that it was now more Maxey's team than anything else? And that Maxey has assumed kind of a leadership role on this team. I thought we were talking about this a lot early on in the season, that it seems like Maxey has taken that next step. And when you take the next step, you go from being good to being a great player and to being somebody that everybody looks to on the court. I would say Maxey has passed that test. And with a guy playing 38, 39, 19 games, that guy cannot be the focal point of your team. He just can't. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and I think when we talk about whose team it is, you got to differentiate what we're talking about. So Joel Embiid might be the most talented, but when you say it's Joel Embiid's team, I don't want someone leading this team who doesn't show up for team activities. I don't want someone leading this team who's late for team activities. And don't take my word on that. We know this is the case with Joel Embiid because Tyrese Maxey called him out on it. So when I talk about whose team is this, I want a guy like Tyrese Maxey who, yeah, he probably can't carry you alone on the court, but he certainly has the leadership capabilities off of it to set the culture the way it should be set. I do not believe Joel Embiid has that personality or that mentality to be the leader of this team. Just because you're the most talented doesn't mean you're a leader. You know that from being in clubhouses.
I do know that. The most talented guys are usually not the leader in the clubhouse. I mean, you look at the Phillies right now. Who would most people say is the leader in that clubhouse?
Probably Schwarber.
No, off the bat. I'm just like, if you looked at the roster, they would say.
Nationally, it's probably like, it's Harper's team.
Yeah, it's not Harper.
Yeah, it's Schwarber.
I mean, I think Bryce Harper is definitely a voice person for that team. Like when they need somebody to speak, he'll speak. But I think Kyle Schwarber has that extra something about him that people listen to, people understand where he comes from. Plus, he does all his speaking with his bat on top of it. I would say Kyle Schwarber without a doubt. And in a baseball clubhouse is a little different than in a, we'll say, a locker room of. Here's the interesting part. We've brought up the Flyers this year, and oddly enough, the leader in that locker room, Dan Vladar.
Yeah, the goalie.
See, like in a baseball locker room, a baseball clubhouse, it's usually a split type thing. Pitchers are one way, and then the regulars are another. And usually they have two different leaders with that. And I guess you would look to a guy like Zach Wheeler as being the leader of the pitchers. There's no doubt about that. So I'm just saying that Tyrese Maxey, I think he has become the spokesperson and leader of that team. Who's been the one guy that has stood up all year and talked all the time.
And you would trade that guy. That's why I'm not answering the phone, man.
Did I say I would trade him? Did I say it?
You didn't say you wouldn't.
Right.
You're listening.
You wouldn't listen. See,
I don't know.
I'm going to tell you, you're out of your freaking mind.
I'm not listening for that very reason.
You would be out of your mind not to listen.
You would completely rip the heart of this team out.
You would be out of your mind. Bill, you even just said that you don't think they could win a championship like this.
I don't.
So what the hell are you doing then?
Because if you get rid of Embiid,
I'm not saying tear it all down. Wait, what if you cannot get rid of Embiid? You cannot get rid of Paul George. Then what? Then what? You have teams coming to you saying, I'll give you 6 number ones for Maxey, and you're like, blah, blah, blah. No.
All right, so you would take, let's just play it out. If you traded Maxey for 6 number ones and you just ride out the length of the contracts for Embiid and
3
George,
years, then I would have veteran players ready to go at that point.
And then in 3 years, the team that you built through the draft over the next couple of years.
And God willing, you come up with one good season from Embiid in there where he plays a ton of games and actually shows up and you win something.
I'm going to be honest with you right now. I'm leaning forward with interest slightly.
Yeah, you absolutely should be. And I'm trying to do this as a time period going by, almost like a time lapse. This is why I asked you, do you think they could win a championship right now? You said no.
No.
So that takes me to the end of Joel Embiid's contract, which is 3 more years, which puts Maxey in his 28-year-old and 9th season. Actually, he'll be going into his 10th season as an NBA player. That's a lot of years behind you.
Well, and you're going to have to supermax him by then, right?
Supermaxed. So what do you do? What do you do? The question marks abound. You listen.
Man, oh man. Did Ricky Bo just convince me to answer the phone on Tyrese Maxey?
And my whole point is, let's say you do trade Maxey now. You get a number 1 possibly this year if you do it before the draft. Next year, the year after. Now, all of a sudden, 2 of those guys are going into their second and third years. Then your new guy, then you have Edgecombe, and then you could buy somebody, whoever you need. We may not even know who that player is right now.
All right, but either way, the person making that decision is not Daryl Morey. You agree with that? Yeah. You and I at least see eye to eye on that.
I do.
Whoever they bring in makes that decision. All right, let's go to the Davis Honda text line before we switch over and talk some Flyers. Silvana said a lot of people are weighing in on the text board, but get your voice memos in because we hear you coming up at 3:45. We'll do it again at 5:25. But that's the best way to get your voice heard on the show. Send the voice memos to 610-632-0975. That's also the number for the text board. What do we got on the text board, Sil?
All right, BJ says, Bill. I love how he only addresses Bill with this one. You're allowing your emotions to lead you to low-hanging fruit. A sensible mind understands that Maxey's the only movable asset that changes your trajectory, while at the same time not being the type of player that will win ultimately. This mentality of try-hard players that don't win is just as bad as a culture to have. Superstars win, and you must honestly assess what level star you actually have in Maxey, not how nice his smile is.
Listen, I don't care about the smile. I don't. I really don't. But you're right. I like try-hard players, but I think Maxey, although you can't just rely on Maxey to carry you by himself, how many stars in this league can carry you by themselves? Like, look, Jalen Brunson is a stud, and Jalen Brunson does, when you compare him to Maxey, man, I wish Maxey could do a little bit more of what Jalen Brunson can do. But also look at who Jalen Brunson has around him with Karl Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart, and the list goes on, where you look at Tyrese and it's like, okay, how much of this is on Tyrese and how much is it that he's got Joel Embiid who doesn't know when he's playing? Mm-hmm. Paul George, you don't know when he's playing. Like Maxey even said, and I don't think this was him complaining, I thought it was him telling the truth early in the season, Ricky, it's hard when I'm being asked to play 3 different ways on any given night.
Right.
And the guy's only 25. I'm not ready to give up on Maxey.
But who is giving up on him? I'm adding the years together. Isn't that what you have to do? By the way, that's why I'd be a good GM and you'd suck at it.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question.
Because you are not looking ahead. What you're doing is looking today.
All right, but let's go back to the process now. How many of those?
I'm done with the process. I'm a new GM coming in.
Yeah, you are. But if you trade Maxey and you get a bunch of first-round draft picks, let's look back at what the Sixers did with all those first-round draft picks they had because of the process. Only one of them ever turned out to be anything, and it was Joel Embiid. You got Ben Simmons. You got Okafor. Terrible. You got who else did they get in this damn process? I've tried to block it out of my mind. Markelle Fultz. I mean, like the list goes on and on. So there's no guarantee that if you trade Maxey for 5 first-round draft picks that you're going to be able to hit on those draft picks.
Fine. You keep Maxey, you don't win anything. You've already said it.
No, you keep Maxey.
You've already said it.
You keep Maxey, you trade Joel, you try to trade Paul George, but I'm trading Joel first. And then Paul George, I'll live with him over the next 2 years if I have to.
Okay. I'm a GM in Minnesota. I call you on Joel Embiid. You give me the terms, and I say, sorry, can't do it. Bye.
You're going to have to include something.
By the way, Joel Embiid's going to have to take a physical to see if this goes through, so I wouldn't tell anybody yet. Guess what? No, done.
The physical might be tough. The physical might be tough.
But do you see what I'm trying to tell you? You brought this up to me early in the show, that it's going to be extremely hard to trade Joel Embiid.
So are we trading Tyrese Maxey? That's what we're doing here, Ricky Bo?
I'm not doing anything until I see the deal.
5 first-round draft picks.
I'm going to say 6.
Man, oh, man. Yeah, what was the Mikal Bridges deal? Let's look at this now.
It was 5 plus a swap plus one more. It was 6, actually, I think. No,
all right.
5 altogether.
In July of 24, the Knicks got Bridges, a player, and a second-round pick, and they gave up Bogdanovich, the 2025 first-round pick, a 2027 first-round pick, a 2029 first-round pick, a 2031 first-round pick, a 2025 first-round pick. That was the only one that was protected.
Now a swap.
And a pick swap. And a second-round pick.
Yes, then there's a second round.
But in essence, they got 1, 2, 3 unprotected first-round picks,
Correct.
1 top 4 protected pick, and then a pick swap.
Yep.
Oh, man. Ricky Bo might be changing my mind here. You might be changing my mind about what to do.
All right, I'm going to ask you a simple question, and I want you to answer this as you wish. What would Howie do?
What would Howie do? Howie wouldn't be in this predicament because there's no way Howie would have given Joel a 3-year extension when he didn't have to.
Silvana, did I just ask him to answer the question that I asked?
The best is when I get pulled into out of Ricky's frustration.
Yeah, he's frustrated.
I
now
asked you
he's
a
gonna
simple
say, "All
question.
right."
You didn't even want to go there because you know I'm right.
Look, there's a lot of people who want to weigh in on this. I'm telling you, the best way to get your voice heard, send the voice memo. All right, I know a lot of people are trying to call. There's a lot of stuff we got to get to, but get your voice memos in, your opinions about what we're talking about with the Embiid, George, Maxey situation and trades. All right, send your voice memos to 610-632-0975 because I still want to get to the Matvei Michkov stuff. All right, so we'll get to that coming up. But we got another opportunity for you to win a $50 gift card. This one's going to Paisanos. All right, this is all thanks to the South 9th Street Market Festival. They dropped off a bunch of food for us from Toludo's, Anthony's, Lorenzo's, Isgro's. And that festival is this weekend. There's going to be a huge variety of food vendors, live music, and classic South Philly traditions. The special attraction this year is one of the 22 celebratory bells for Philadelphia's 250th anniversary, hand-painted by local artist Cindy Lozito. Other events, like Ricky pointed out earlier, the John Marzano half-ball tournament, the Grease Pole Challenge that Ricky may or may not be participating in, and the Procession of the Saints. All right, so that's all this weekend, but we're giving away a $50 gift card to Paisanos right now. We're doing Italian-American athletes. We already did Joe DiMaggio. I got another one. If you know this Italian-American athlete, text it to the Davis Honda text line, 610-632-0975. I'm going to give you 4 clues. My college comeback performance became known as the chicken soup game. My calm play earned me a nickname. I won 4 Super Bowls without throwing an interception in any of them, and I led a dynasty in the 1980s. Who am I? Text the name of that Italian-American athlete to 610-632-0975. Coming up, we'll give you the answer. We'll tell you who won the $50 gift card to Paisanos, and we'll let you hear what Matvei Michkov said today about his season and relationship with Rick Tocchet, and we'll also continue the Sixers conversation. A lot to get to on Unfiltered today. 97.5 The Fanatic, NBC Sports Philadelphia. All right, welcome back into Unfiltered. We just had your second trivia question of the day. Remember, we're giving away 5 $50 gift cards to various businesses courtesy of the South 9th Street Market Festival. I keep wanting to call it the Italian Market Festival.
It used to be something like that, but now they have the full mix of everybody.
Yeah, so the South 9th Street Festival, because it's down at the Italian Market, we're doing Italian-American athlete trivia. All right, we already did Joe DiMaggio. The one we just did, here were the 4 clues. My college comeback performance is known as the chicken soup game. My calm play earned me a nickname. I won 4 Super Bowls without throwing an interception in any of them, and I led a dynasty in the 1980s. Did you get this one, Ricky Bo?
Smoking Joe Montana.
Joe Montana. Joe Cool, I think, is the reason why, right? Is that why? That was his nickname for his cold weather? What was Joe Montana's nickname? What was Joe Montana's nickname? I have the trivia question. Hold on. Now I got to look that up. Joe Montana's nickname. Yeah, Joe Cool.
Joe Cool, and the comeback kid.
And the comeback kid. Joe Montana was the right answer. So congratulations to Mark in Langhorne. You just won a $50 gift card to Paisanos, but you got to pick it up at the station. So once he confirms he can pick it up, if not, we'll have to go to the next person. But hopefully he could pick it up. But don't worry, we still have 3 more gift cards to give out. Capuccio's Meats, Ralph's Italian Restaurant, and George's. We got another one coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, and then 2 in the 5 o'clock hour. So keep it here. All right, before we get back to the Sixers, a lot of people are weighing in on trade proposals and if you would listen to trade offers for Tyrese Maxey. Before we get back to that, the Flyers held their exit interviews today. Sixers didn't do any exit interviews for whatever reason outside of the Sunday night post-game press conferences. They haven't done exit interviews, but the Flyers did theirs today. And a player a lot of people wanted to hear from was Matvei Michkov because he didn't have the best sophomore campaign. There were times where Rick Tocchet didn't play him a lot in the regular season. He was a healthy scratch twice in the playoffs, was it? Right?
Yep.
Twice in the playoffs. So there was a lot of things that happened this year. He came into camp out of shape. We were told that. And then they didn't trust him in the postseason. They didn't trust him at times in the regular season. It's a fairly long clip, and it's through an interpreter. But you'll hear Matvei Michkov gets asked a lot of questions about the season, his relationship with Rick Tocchet. Here he is through an interpreter, and then we'll react to it. Matvei Michkov.
Overall, look at your season.
Hard questions. Что могу сказать? No comments.
How was the relationship with Rick Tocchet this season?
Обычное отношение.
Very simple work relationship.
Да,
Good relationship.
Matvei, were you given a reason for why you were benched for Game 4 against Carolina?
That's a coach decision. I'm a player that should go on the ice and do my job. If the coach decide I have to miss the game, I have to take it. Go back on the ice and train and work for the best. Unfortunately, we cannot control what we cannot control.
You played really well in that stretch run after the Olympic break. Why do you think it didn't carry over into the postseason, your strong play?
Good question. I don't know how to answer it. In the playoffs, the whole team plays really good. I was trying to help in defense and try to do what the coach told me. What the coach told him to do, that's what he was trying to do. It was first playoff for me, and it was not, I cannot say it was easy. I'm not happy.
Своей игрой.
My game at the playoff. I'm a player that the team expect me to score and make the plays. By the fact that at the end of it, it's 8 games and one assist, and that was a fluke.
All right, so a lot from Matvei Michkov again
What
through an
was
interpreter.
that last word?
Yeah, what was that last word? I don't know, Ricky Bo. It didn't sound great, but I don't think it was what you thought.
Staring at me like, don't ask that.
No, I don't think that was what you thought it was, but I don't know what it was. But it wasn't what you thought it was.
Kind of jumped out at me there.
So, but here's the thing that I don't love about what we do in the media sometimes is I see a lot of people saying that when he was asked, how would you describe the season, he says, no comment. Right. Now, when you actually listen to the full clip there, though, he said that's a tough question, and then he didn't want to say anything wrong, so he says no comment. But then he does elaborate. He has a good relationship with Rick Tocchet. It was a coach's decision on why he was benched. He wasn't necessarily doing his job. It wasn't easy for him in the postseason. It didn't carry over from the regular season. But I don't think that there's a lot of people who are worried that he's going to want to be traded. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think this year, more than anything, he needed to learn the North American game. It is different when you're playing over in Russia compared to playing the North American game. You got to be more responsible defensively. It's a different style of game.
It's a different rink.
It's a smaller rink. That is also a factor. But I don't think that this was a guy who's going to say, hey, I want to be traded. I think it's a guy who realizes I got a lot of work to do. And I can't afford to come into camp out of shape. I can't afford to only be an offensive player. I got to work on playing both ends of the ice. And I thought the way the Flyers handled him, I know there are fans out there who are angry about the way the Flyers handled Matvei Michkov. And I keep saying this. If you took the name Michkov off of his back and you put another name or another jersey on him, not a single fan would have been yelling that he wasn't getting ice time because he looked overmatched at times in the postseason. He looked out of position. He had way too many turnovers. He was too much of a liability. Does he have offensive upside? Of course he does. That's why we all loved him when they drafted him and they got him to come over here from Russia a lot earlier than we thought. But he also was a liability at times. And if his name wasn't Matvei Michkov, I don't think people would have been yelling and screaming. And I think it's a small vocal minority of people who are yelling and screaming on social media, but there's enough of them that you see it. I thought the Flyers handled him very well this season. He's got a lot of growing to do this offseason, and I'm excited to see what he can do in year 3. But at the same time, if I'm being honest, Ricky, I don't look at Matvei Michkov and absolutely guarantee the guy's going to be a superstar.
No, I don't really see it either. There's a lot of different things. I mean, you could appreciate, where he has come from, how much he's trying to grow in the game. I get that part of it. But right now, he's still got a lot to learn. He's still got a lot to prove. He turns the puck over way too often. When you think about Matvei Michkov, I was thinking superstar. As much as they were talking about him and what he was going to add to this team, I mean, I feel like this is going to sound horrible. I feel like Porter Martone has added more to the Flyers team than Matvei Michkov has.
In a short period of time.
Martone, was in 11 regular season games.
19 years old.
Yeah.
But listen, Michkov's still young. Like, the guy is 21.
But, okay, let's go this way. Did you see any flashes of brilliance?
Yes and no. I know what you're saying, but yes and no. I mean, look, he makes some really good plays at times offensively. If you look at, I guess it was Cam York's overtime goal, Michkov makes a really nice pass at the point to lead to that goal. He's done some really good things, but you're right. I believe that his deficiencies outweighed the offensive upside too many times this year. And I don't know what type of player he's going to grow into being. I'm not ruling him out at 21. You look at some of the other superstars in this league and you compare it to their 21-year-old seasons. They're not always great at 21 years old. So there's still room to grow, but he's not necessarily a can't-miss prospect like people thought he was when he first came over here. There's a lot of growth that needs to be done. Now, as we're talking about Michkov, there's, Elliot Friedman. He does, I think it's the 32 Thoughts podcast up in Canada.
Yep.
He's on there. What's the big Canadian networks? Sportsnet
BBC?
Or something like that?
TSN?
Maybe. I don't know which one it is now that I'm drawing a blank. Hold on. Let me go to Elliot Friedman so I could accredit this the right way. So Friedman's on, Sportsnet. Sportsnet up in Canada.
Just Sportsnet?
Sportsnet, yeah. So they had he does this 32 Thoughts podcast, and Matvei Michkov came up. And this is what Elliot Friedman, who's pretty locked in to what's going on in the NHL, this is what he said about Michkov and the Flyers. Listen.
It's very obvious to me that there is a problem. And I listened to the pod on Friday and we talked about Philly lacking game breakers or one more game breaker, I should say. And you brought up, isn't that what Michkov's supposed to be? And the more I thought about it, the more I thought you were right. And if I was in charge, you would have to convince me why this would have to go into a different direction. When it comes to Michkov, I still think a few things. He's still young. He's still, as the old saying goes, he's a stranger in a strange land. And he's been through an awful lot, personally and professionally. I think he's way too young to give up on. Unless there's something going on there that's so bad that I don't know about. To me, he's still young to give up on.
So I'm 100% agreement with Elliot Friedman because there's a lot of people saying they should trade him.
See, I wouldn't give up on him by any stretch of the imagination. I still think he has a lot to learn, which means he's got a lot more in the tank.
What do the Flyers think? That's the big question.
Oh, that's on. I mean, in all honesty, what are they thinking? He was benched a couple times. So what are you really thinking? That maybe he's be better off somewhere else? I don't know.
That's going to be something to watch.
I think he could score some goals. I think he can. I mean, he had a bad year this year. Had 20 goals, 21 goals, whatever it was. So in a good year, you're talking 30 to 35. I'll take that.
Yeah, he had 20 this year on the heels of 26 as a rookie.
Okay, so he's got 46 goals in 2 years.
Yeah, you're right. 20 goals in a down year.
He's better than a lot of people you have on that team.
Yeah, 20 goals in a down year. I wouldn't give up on him. I'd be surprised if Danny Briere gave up on him. The only way you're including Michkov in a trade is, I guess, if you're able to make a big swing for one of these players like an Austin Matthews or a Brady Tkachuk, if they want out from their teams. Dare I say Connor McDavid, man.
Now, that would be 2 years, right?
Now it's all
saying that can't happen this year.
Oh, you never know. But that's the only way I'm trading Michkov, if it's a huge swing. But I don't think there's a problem. He's only 21 years old. I'm with Friedman. I don't think there was a problem with Tocchet and Michkov. I think Tocchet did a really good job with him this year, even though fans are still yelling and screaming. Do you know there's still fans, I'm seeing them on social media, saying that Tocchet should be fired for the way he handled Michkov?
Out of control. Out of control. Rick Tocchet is a great coach. He's proven that. He had his team at a 3.8% to make the playoffs. And what did he do? Made the playoffs. I mean, that to me is an accomplishment within itself. And I think, you know what? How he reacts to certain things, how he benches guys or plays guys, however you want to look at it, I believe in him. I think he's doing the right things. And I don't think he benches Michkov because he wants to take a shot at Michkov. I think it's because he has other players that he thinks can get the job done in certain situations. I don't. Good for him. Be your own person.
Yeah, and Booty, who's producing for NBC Sports Philadelphia today, makes a good point, too. He's saying that the Flyers probably paid a good amount of money to get him out of his KHL deal when they got him. Yeah. And you probably don't want to give up on a guy this quickly at 21 that you just paid all this money to get him out of the KHL. So that's a good point. All right, here's what we got coming up, though. We Hear You coming up next. The best voice memos of the show so far. There's also some people on hold who want to get in on the 76ers conversation. Xavier and Dak, if you want to hang, what we'll do is we'll do the best voice memos and we'll mix in phone calls coming up next to hear what people's opinions are about trade possibilities, all right? Because a lot of people were weighing in. Do you trade Joel? Do you trade Paul George? Do you consider trading Tyrese Maxey? So we're going to go rapid fire coming up next. Best voice messages and some of your phone calls as well. I also see Joey D wants to weigh in on Michkov. So we're going to go rapid fire coming up next here on Unfiltered. 97.5 The Fanatic, NBC Sports Philadelphia. All right, welcome back into Unfiltered on this Tuesday afternoon. Doing a lot of Sixers talk to start the show. Would you trade Paul George? Would you trade Joel Embiid? We were also just talking about Matvei Michkov because he spoke with the media today as well. So normally at this time, we Hear You, part one, the best voice messages of the day. We have voice messages, but we also have a bunch of callers on the line. So we're going to kind of go rapid fire, going back and forth between phone calls and voice messages, because a lot of people want to give their opinions about what's going on with the Sixers. And we even have a caller who wants to weigh in on the Matvei Michkov situation. All right. But before we do that, let's just update the Twitter poll, because the question we asked the masses on Twitter, if you could only trade one player, would you trade Paul George or Joel Embiid? Now, I made the case on why I'm trading Joel. Ricky made the case on why he was trading Paul George, but a lot of people are coming out of nowhere saying trade Tyrese Maxey because he's going to get you the biggest return. At first, I said I'm not even answering the phone, but Ricky Bo's done a good job of making me at least consider answering the phone.
You'd be stupid not to answer the phone.
So let's see what people are saying on the Twitter poll. Twitter poll, standing strong thanks to Dr. Avi Donapel of Iron Mountain Men's Health. What we got, Sil?
If the Sixers could only trade one player this offseason, who should it be, Joel Embiid or Paul George? Getting closer, 51% voting for Joel Embiid, 49% for Paul George.
Man, oh man. All right, so if you want to weigh in on that question, send voice memos and texts to the Davis Honda text line, 610-632-0975. We're now going to go rapid fire voice messages and calls. We Hear You, brought to you by Rycor Heating and Cooling. If your home's running hot and cold, upgrade to a high-efficiency heat pump system and start saving every month. Schedule your free consultation at RycorHVAC.com or call 1-855-MY-RYCOR and upgrade today. Rycor, we know how. Hit it, Savannah.
Now.
I want to know.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to tell you.
Are you listening to me? We can hear you.
I have something to say.
Please just keep it simple and brief. Thank you.
Listen to me carefully.
And that's all I have to say about that.
We hear you.
Who is that says, I've got something to say?
I don't know what that's from.
I don't know, but it sounds familiar to me as well.
I don't know what it's from. We'll have to ask Minara because he put it together. All right, let's go rapid fire. Let's go to Xavier from Newtown Square. Xavier.
What's up, you guys? How you guys doing?
What's going on?
Good. So real quick before I get to my point, I wanted to put out there that A.J. Brown's in Boston looking up condos. He's in contact with the condo management and stuff like that. I've seen a report, so he's gone, in case anybody was still wondering. But real quick, listen, the Joel Maxey thing and all that, man, listen, I would trade Joel. He got 3 years on his contract. He's had more than enough chance to actually do something, and he has it. So at the end of the day, man, I would not trade Maxey. You got to give him a chance to actually run his team. When Joel was on the court, you can see the difference that Maxey plays, VJ plays. They all play differently when he's on the court. They bow down to him. Let him have his own team. Let him rock out. You can keep PJ as your 3-and-D for only 2 more years. I would not trade Maxey. You don't know I don't trust this organization to make good draft picks in the lottery. I just don't.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Xavier. That was my point, too, is, one, you don't know, even if you get 5 draft picks in the first round, if they're going to hit, because they've rarely hit. They got lucky with Maxey when they got him. Daryl Morey had really nothing to do with that draft pick. And then VJ Edgecombe, you get at number 3, thank God. But outside of that, they've missed a lot. And I agree with Xavier. I want to see what Maxey and VJ can do when you don't have to run everything through Joel Embiid. And like Maxey said earlier this year, even though I don't think Maxey is good enough to carry you by himself, I do agree with Maxey. Not knowing what style of basketball you're going to play when you wake up in the morning because you don't know if Joel is playing at night or not.
Yeah.
That can't be easy, man.
It's not easy. He's come out and said it. I mean, it's one of those things that's out there in public. He's let everybody know that it's not easy knowing which type of game I have to come to the basketball court to play every night. That's not fair to him.
No, I think he deserves a chance. He's still only 25. All right, let's keep these rolling. We're going to go to Dak from Phoenixville. Dak, what's up, man?
Hey there. I'm not particularly a Villanova fan, but I think I'd like to see Jay Wright become the head coach of this team and give him some say on the roster. I think the coach we have now kills them in the second half. I've never seen a team this bad in the third period as the Sixers were this year. And
yeah, Dak's not wrong. I mean, look, the third quarter was tough to watch at times this year, but I do think Nick Nurse did a nice job in that Boston series. But if you could get Jay Wright, without a doubt, I don't think there's anybody who wouldn't sign up for it. The problem is, I don't think Jay Wright wants to coach. Like, I don't think he wants to come
I have not heard one thing about Jay Wright saying, I want to come into the NBA and coach. Has he ever said that?
Nope.
I think he's pretty content. Come on, the guy gets to look sharp on TV. He dresses to the nines. You know what? Good looking man.
But if you could somehow get Jay Wright to come out of retirement to coach the Sixers, where do I sign? And I would give him some personnel control.
I see what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. He's a great coach. He'd probably be a great NBA coach. There's no doubt.
Oh, he'd be phenomenal. All right, we were also talking
Even
about...
though I'm a UConn fan.
Yeah, boo you.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
Yeah, really? You're a Nova fan since when? Since when?
I'm not really a Nova fan. I'm not.
Actually,
I don't really... I would root for Temple over anybody. I went to law school at Temple, but I don't really have an allegiance. I don't really have a college basketball team, if I'm being honest with you.
At least he's honest.
All right, we were talking about Matvei Michkov earlier. Joey D from Philly wants to weigh in on Matvei Michkov. What's going on, Joey D?
Yo, what's up, guys? How you doing?
Good.
All good, my man. All good. What you want to say about Michkov?
I wanted to say first, I want to thank the Flyers for a great season. I want to thank you guys for keeping us entertained. True Flyers fan here. I heard you talking about Michkov, and I'm not saying trade him, and I'm not saying not to trade him, but as an athlete, you got to put the work in. So this summer, put the work in, work on the things that you were weak in, and see if it works. You know, it's a couple guys on the team need to put some work in, and I think we got a solid group.
Yeah, Joey D, I don't disagree, and I think hopefully this was going to be a huge learning experience for Matvei Michkov. And I think Rick Tocchet handled him the right way. He wasn't ready to play at times. He was outmatched at times. So that's why he got sat down. And you're going to learn a lot about Matvei Michkov this offseason. Does he put his tail between his legs and come back and not really want to put in the work and he's unhappy? Who knows? Does he ask for a trade or does he say, you know what? I got a lot of work to do?
I think 100% he's going to come back with a vengeance.
That would be awesome.
I think you almost have to. I mean, he sees the way his teammates had been playing. He sees the way everybody plays in the playoffs. He has this is what they were talking about, having the experience of being there and doing that. They were in the playoffs. He was in the playoffs. He knows what it's like now. He knows don't you know where your body has to be now?
Yeah.
And I think taking that into the offseason, you take a month off and then you come back with a vengeance.
Yeah, I'm hoping he does come back with a vengeance. Time will tell what happens this offseason.
Well, if you want to be good, that's what you're going to do.
Yeah, if you want to be a star, which is what we were hoping Michkov could be, and I still have hopes that he can. It's still young, 21 years old. All right, let's get one more memo in here. What do we got?
Good afternoon, Unfiltered. Great show as always. You have to trade Maxey this offseason. I love Tyrese Maxey. He's a great guy. Everybody loves Maxey. The fan base would go nuts, but it's the right thing to do. The Sixers are not going to compete until 2029 anyway. You got to trade him right now while his value is super high. It's tough to see him go because we all love him, but it's the right move.
Man, that's our boy Andy from Lambertville right there. I thought when people were suggesting that on social, Ricky, and I brought it up, I thought it was going to be like universal, hell no, you can't trade Maxey. It's been the opposite. We've got a lot of people weighing in on the text board, phone calls, voice messages, and even you saying, no, you got to consider this.
I don't understand why you want it. You understand what it can bring to the table. And
regardless,
I just think if you're going to bring in a new GM / president of basketball operations, I think that guy's going to listen to everything. You have to make your mark. How do you make your mark?
I just think
you don't lift your leg in this situation.
I understand the assets that Maxey could bring. But when I look at trying to change a losing culture.
Really? So you think they're going to win in the next 3 years?
No.
Then why would you even think about this?
Because when you try to change a losing culture, I think you want to build around players like Tyrese and VJ Edgecombe who not only have talent, but also have that thing that you can't teach. That competitive drive to always try to get better.
But aren't you already up the creek without a paddle if you cannot get rid of Embiid or Paul George?
Well, that's why I think you have to try your best to get rid of George.
Okay, I understand that. If you do that, I'm not thinking about Maxey going anywhere.
But do you think Maxey has reached his ceiling?
I don't know if we've been able to see the ceiling yet.
That's why I don't trade him.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because you do need moving parts with you all the time.
And that's why I'm not trading him. We know how hard he works. We know how much he's improved as a player. Last year was a step back for everybody. It was a step back for Maxey. This year, at times, you saw the superstar he could be. Now, he couldn't carry you to victory without Joel outside of Game 2 against Boston, where they won that game up in Boston. But I don't know if you've seen the ceiling of Maxey. And if you were to trade him for draft picks, you're hoping that you're able to get players that are better than Tyrese Maxey. And I don't know if that's anywhere close to a guarantee, even if you got 5 draft picks. But look, I know a lot of people want to weigh in on this conversation. You still can. Get your text in, get your voice memos in. 610-632-0975. Coming up, we'll take a little detour away from the Sixers and Flyers. We got Give Me More at 4 with Silvana. And I also want to take a look at the Philadelphia Eagles' strength of schedule because schedule release is Thursday night, but we know who they're playing. We just don't know when. Where do the Eagles rank in terms of strength of schedule? Might actually be some good news for Eagles fans. So keep it here. 97.5 The Fanatic, NBC Sports, Philadelphia.